Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to watch my channel. This video, we are taking a little bit of a trip to Disney World. So I live in Southern California, close to Disneyland, but every so often I try to make it over to Orlando to Disney World, and this is gonna be a little bit of a series. Back in November, I took a little short trip over to Orlando, mainly to do two things. One, I wanted to go back to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which I haven't done in 2 years, and also to finally ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. So we're gonna start with my first day at the parks, including where I stayed, what parks I hit up, and the really good food I had. Let's get started. I took the red eye from Los Angeles, so that's why it's still dark here. I'm heading into the Orlando airport and then driving into Disney World Resort. I hung out at the Animal Kingdom Lodge for a couple of hours and waited until sunrise to get this amazing view of Kidani Village. Animal Kingdom Lodge is kind of secluded, but that comes with some big benefits. You really do feel like you are secluded and in the wild. Two sections to Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jambo House, which we'll see later, and here we are walking up to Kidani Village, which is where I stayed. I gotta say, I really fell in love with the design of this resort. There are just so many nice touches, including this lantern display out front. Really beautiful. Now let's step inside. The lobby is actually kind of small, but I didn't really mind that. It felt really homey and comfortable and cozy. It was a really good vibe. Now let's take a look out back. You can see as we walk outside that there is a lot of open grass space, and this is not for people to walk on. This is for a lot of the animals that they have all around the resort. We'll see a few of them later. I walked out here just after sunrise. It was quiet, peaceful, and pretty empty. Pretty good start to my stay at the Walt Disney World Resort. Okay, we gotta head out and head over to Jambo House. It's about a 10 to 15 minute walk, and it's the main area of Animal Kingdom Lodge. Headed over here because I had my breakfast reservation. You can see as we walk inside Jambo House that it is much bigger, it is grander, but you know, it's kind of nice to have both vibes at the resort. It honestly reminded me a lot of Wilderness Lodge, my favorite resort at Disney World, but it's definitely unique in its own way. I was a little early for breakfast, so I headed out back to try to see if any animals were outside. And there we can see some pelicans hanging out by the water. Again, still really nice and quiet. Then I headed inside for breakfast at Boma. I've been really excited to try this place, heard a lot of great things. As you can see, Boma is buffet style, so many different types of food. Traditional American breakfast, pastries, traditional African breakfast foods like papaya and grapefruit salad. Here you can see my plate. I definitely loaded up and went in. Had to get a Mickey waffle, and then finished it off with a cinnamon roll. And if you're wondering, wow, Caleb, that's a lot of food, you'd be right. I was so full by the end of this meal, but man, such a good breakfast. Okay, time to walk that food off. And since I'm so close to Animal Kingdom, that's where I started. Here you can see we're walking up to the park. It honestly wasn't too crowded, so that's always a big plus. And you can see a little Christmas decoration as I get ready to swipe into the park. And then entering the park, you walk up to the massive Tree of Life that stands at over 145 feet tall and has over 300 animals carved into it all around the trunk. Now, I didn't eat there, but I did have to walk by one of my favorite sit-down restaurants in all of Disney World, Yak and Yeti. Highly recommend. And since I didn't rope drop and didn't want to pay for a lightning lane, I didn't go to Flight of Passage. Instead, I headed over to one of my favorite rides in all of Disney, one of its best coasters, Expedition Everest. And because most people rope drop Flight of Passage, it's only about 20 minutes shortly after the park opened. Not too bad. Not only is this a great roller coaster, but I also love walking through the queue. Again, a lot of detail, a lot of great design, and just a really fun thing to walk through while you're waiting in line. Some of the figures and things along the way may be a little creepy, but it's a really cool, immersive experience. Then it was time to head over to Dino Land to ride another one of my favorite rides, Dinosaur. Now, I know not everyone loves this ride, but it is a personal favorite of mine, and Disneyland folks should recognize it's pretty similar to our Indiana Jones ride, but just a very different design. When you're walking through Animal Kingdom, you have to keep your eyes open for these boats. So many characters show up. This is actually my first time seeing Rafiki in one. And even though I didn't ride Flight of Passage on this trip, I still had to head over to Pandora and just appreciate the beautiful section of the park. The design, the architecture, all of it, still one of my favorite parts of really any Disney park. A little later, I was walking by the Tree of Life. It just happened to catch this show, this performance where some of the cast members were having these birds fly in. You can see here, really trained, really smart birds. And I just stood there for a while as a few started to come in, and then more and more continued to fly in as they were calling them and rewarding them with what had to be some pretty delicious treats. Here you can see we got to a pretty high number of birds flying in. I've never seen this show at Animal Kingdom. There's always something new to see, something that I haven't seen before, so this was a real treat. Really enjoyed it. And on my way out, saw one of my favorite things of Animal Kingdom, these animal puppets. Just love running across these, always really fun and interactive. Since my room wasn't ready yet, I hopped on the bus from Animal Kingdom and headed over to Hollywood Studios. There you can see the Skyliner above me as I walk in. I didn't really have a lot of plans for the park today. Wasn't planning on riding any rides because I knew the lines were going to be long, but I wanted to head inside anyway. Saw again some more Christmas decoration on my way inside. And I am a huge sucker for this opening walkway in Hollywood Studios, especially during Christmas. Really love the design, love the street, everything about this. And what I really love about Hollywood Studios is when I started going to the Disney World younger and even, 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't live in LA at the time. But now I get to really appreciate how it has all these landmark spots that are symbolic of LA, that are now home to me, which is always cool to experience these places when I'm away from home. So, we've got like the Chinese theater behind me, which I've done a video about visiting. And then you have other things, like common streets like Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard, and Echo Lake. So it's really cool if you're an LA transplant like me, or certainly an LA native. I think you'll really appreciate and enjoy the Hollywood Studios vibe. I headed over to Backlot Express, which is actually one of my favorite quick service restaurants in Hollywood Studios, but I was here to try the frozen hot chocolate that they had special for Christmas. It was pretty good, but a little too sweet. I couldn't finish it all. Then I headed over to what was, at this point, my favorite roller coaster at Disney. More on that later. But it's the Rockin' Roller Coaster, the classic Aerosmith theme. Love this roller coaster. It's actually what made me fall in love with roller coasters when I rode it for the first time as a kid. After that, my room was finally ready at Animal Kingdom Lodge, so I headed over. Let's take a look. This is a DVC room at Kidani Village. I really like this room. It was a really comfortable bed. I really like the tones and the colors of the room. It's pretty minimalist, nothing over the top. Love all the wood. Again, it kind of reminds me of Wilderness Lodge, but it definitely has its own style. And then one of the best parts, obviously, if I can ever get the door open, is heading outside to the balcony. Okay, finally got that open. So you walk out on the balcony and it is just really beautiful. I mean, it is like you are taken out of Orlando, Disney World, and put in the middle of the African wilderness, or as much as you can where we are. I saw animals mostly in the mornings, which was just a really nice and quiet start to every day. Okay, back into the room. Let's check out the rest of it. Now let's see, you can check in, the lights do work. It's always nice. Walking into the bathroom. There I am. It's a pretty spacious bathroom. The shower was, simple, but decent water pressure, always a good thing. And then the toilet in its own separate little room. And then you've got your dishwasher, sink, coffee maker, all that good stuff. For dinner, I had Sanaa at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and let me tell you, this food was so good. It is now my favorite restaurant of any Disney park. It is the best meal I have ever had at Disney, no exaggeration. Sorry I didn't get landscape videos of these, but this bread amazing, especially the sourdough on the right. The meal that I had, this food, was so good. It's a little pricey, but so worth it. If you can get to Animal Kingdom Lodge and try Sanaa, highly recommend. Amazing restaurant. To close out my first day before bed, I checked out Jambo House at night, and as you can see, it's really nice. Great first day.